Let's focus on to this. Fruitless and wasteful expenditure for the 2021-2022 financial year cost the country some 4.7 billion rand. This is according to the Auditor-General Tsakani Maluleke, who earlier briefed Parliament on the audit outcomes of municipalities in the country. She says the growing amount of the wasteful and fruitless expenditure is a reminder of the rampant corruption that continues to plague the country. Athi Mtongana is standing by with more detail. Athi Mtongana, tell us a little bit more about what we heard.
Well, Dudu, I do have the Auditor-General here standing by with me, and I want to jump straight into conversation with you, AG, and thank you so much for your time. It's been a long day for you, starting out in the Portfolio Committee, that Joint Portfolio Standing Committee, where you were basically outlining the state, the financial state of municipalities for 2021-2022, and one of the key highlights, of course, is the fact that the number of municipalities that have received clean audits has decreased. Let's perhaps start there.
Thank you very much, Athi. Good afternoon to you, and thank you for this opportunity. Indeed, the number of clean audits has deteriorated somewhat, and for us it demonstrates that the state of local government is going backwards. And we contextualize it in this idea that this year was a year of transition. The year ended on the 30th of June 2022 was one where you had new councils looking to still stabilize. In many instances, that caused instability at the level of administration, and that caused a delay in them implementing the recommendations we shared with them at the beginning of the financial year. The impact was that the prevailing weaknesses at local government continued in the way that they shouldn't have. The lack of clean audits that were added into the domain tells us that the attention to the key disciplines that should apply in terms of how any public institution runs, that attention was not quite there. Having said that, we've also highlighted that at least there is some glimmer of hope in the form of the provincial governments taking ownership and responsibility to support and to monitor local government. Through the tone that's been set by different provincial leaders, through the more coordinated support by the treasuries and the COGTAs and the offices of the Premier, we've seen two critical things happen. One is that the number of late submissions has now gone backwards, in that we've had an improvement in that area, which, as you know, submitting a set of financial statements is absolutely critical for any public institution. And last year we reported that far too many councils were not meeting that obligation. So that's starting to change. We also saw an improvement in the number of disclaimers. Through the interventions of political leadership and administrative leadership at province, a number of disclaimers have moved in the right direction. So we draw inspiration from that, in that some of our messages are being heeded. Provincial government is listening. They are starting to drive the type of improvement we would want to see. What needs to be done now is that the work that they're doing gets greater traction so that we can see its impact. Importantly, though, the municipalities themselves need to start doing the required work so that they have institutional strength, so that they deliver on the promises that they've made to citizens. One of the key messages in our report is that it is not enough to report credibly on financial reports. You've got to sort out service delivery information. And when you can't get service delivery information right, it's a key indicator that you're not planning for performance, you're not matching your budget to performance and key functions in local government, and you're not delivering on your projects. You're not delivering services. And that must be the critical link between what is promised to citizens and what's being delivered.
There is a lot that I would like us to touch on, given the extent of work that your team has done. But I want us to talk about the issue that you also highlighted during the meeting, which is, the harsh reminder of what happened in Hammanskraal, the cholera outbreak there. Is it, as you mentioned, a harsh reminder of, the financial mismanagement having a direct impact on service delivery?
Absolutely. It is probably the harshest reminder that we should ever get when there is a neglect to attending to the basics. Not sorting out infrastructure repairs, not ensuring that the infrastructure management plans of a municipality are funded and implemented appropriately has a detrimental impact on citizens. Not ensuring that the work done by the administration of a city is being overseen properly by the council has devastating impact. And also not ensuring that there is coordinated input by provincial government and national government so that ultimately citizens benefit from an effective one government that can deliver on their needs and wants. Neglecting those things does indeed have the most detrimental impact on citizens.
Briefly, I'm running out of time. Two issues that I want you to touch on: the unauthorized expenditure running into billions, including the use of consultants, which also runs into billions. Just briefly outline those two issues.
Both of those issues tell us that it's about attending to the very basics of financial planning, of disciplined financial management on a regular basis, and on ensuring that where things are going wrong, there are consequences, so that there is a culture of performance, of ongoing monitoring, of accountability, of transparency, and of dealing with matters as and when they arise, so that you have a culture where there is more performance, more compliance than not. Both of those things for us are an indication that the stability of controls, of management practices, of quality oversight and monitoring in local government as institutions, that's not in place.
All right, thank you so much for your time. I'd like to indulge you further, but of course our viewers can find some of those exchanges that the Auditor General had with legislators earlier this morning through the bites that will play you throughout this day, where you can really listen to some of the revelations that she brought before the members of Parliament. But for now, we're going into an ad break. You're watching Newsroom 405. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.